Hey guys, welcome back to another little video on my next art doll. It is available. You can see a little sneak peek here. So I made a Toco Toucan, and this is the newest doll that is available in my shop, and it also has a movable beak, so you can make it a little bit more realistic. Clothes, both are polymer clay little head bit glass eyes. It has a ball and socket armature inside, so it's posable. The wings are a wire armature, so they're still a little bit posable. Feet are made from cosplay, so they're more durable, and as with all things that are on two legs, just takes a little bit of practice to get the balance right, especially something with such a heavy front beak. But he does stand on two legs, and so that's my little Toco Toucan. Available in my shop, creaturesnet.com. Payment plans are welcome, as with everything, but if you want to know how I made him, then keep watching. Alright, so I'm starting off by painting some glass eyes. I'm doing the pupils first, and then once that's dry, I'm then going to start painting the iris in a nice brown colour, and I'm just using water-based acrylic paints here, and leaving that to dry overnight before I start sculpting the headpiece. And in the meantime, I'm going to start working on the beak. So I'm using translucent Sculpey for this, and a aluminium core, foil core. This beak is going to be movable, so I have to do it in two parts. My plan was to use a translucent clay and add soft pastels to it, but I didn't like the way it turned out, but I'll talk about that further along in the video. So I'm using translucent Sculpey here, and I don't particularly like using this one too much because it's a little bit difficult to work with. It's a little bit more sticky than Sculpey Original, which is what I normally use. So not a huge fan of sculpting with translucent Sculpey. And right now I'm just forming the top of the beak, so that's a larger piece, and then I'll bake that first and start working on the lower piece. And I'm just adding a little snake piece of clay along the top of the build, just to bring the point up a little bit. It was a little bit too low, so I'm just putting the snake on and then blending it out. I then need to make the inside of beak nice and flat, so I'm using a little rake tool for this one. It's like a loop tool, and just carving out a little bit of detailing around where the beak closes on each side, and trying to flatten it out and make it nice and smooth. that you see on the side of the beak, so I'm just using a needle kit for this piece, it'll just warp and it won't fit snugly against the top jaw, so that's a little tip on baking. And it just takes us a whole lot of headache away because you know the jaw's got to fit together. It might be taking a little bit of prying to open it, so thin pieces just have to be careful not to break the piece, but if you do it really slowly and gently, it'll come apart. I've just rolled out 2 balls of clay, roughly the same size, flat them out a little bit, and I'm going to be attaching them to the head in roughly the same symmetrical position. And blending it out till it's nice and smooth, and then I can start adding the glass eyes and making sure they're in the right spot and also symmetrical, so I look at it from all different angles. Okay, now I'm going to be adding the little blue eyepiece around the eye in some blue Sculpey. I don't really like working with coloured Sculpey because it's just really messy. It's really hard to work with as well because it's quite, it's not a softer Sculpey original. But for this one I thought it would look really good if I used a clay that was the right colour, so I broke out some of my blue Sculpey and just did a little ring around the eyes. And then I can add a little bit more around the brow area, so rolled out a snake and applying it on top of the eyeball and then blending it in. And I'm finding these little silicone tools really helpful. I have a pair in my shop that I'm going to be putting up really soon. I just wanted to test them out first before I pop them up there. But if you're interested, leave me a comment and I'll let you know. But I'm finding them really useful. Moving on to the legs. So I'm doing a little wire armature for this one and then using cosplay. So just building the armature up with some, 1mm or 0.5mm aluminium wire and just creating a basic armature, foot armature for the foot. For the sculpting section, I have conditioned some cosplay and I've got new cosplay. And just basically covering wire armature in a layer of this cosplay and making some random details. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a whole lot of different scales and little padding underneath. So it takes me a bit of time to do this, but it's just basically rolling out little balls, flattening them and making little scales. So you can see the black was really quite thin. It's not really watered down, it's just really thin. So I had to do a couple of layers of this black as well, just to get it nice and black without any see-through. So I did do quite a few layers of paint on this just to get the nice vibrancy, because I didn't want it too dull. But I ended up using a sponge as well, and also didn't like the texture of that. So I did a lot of playing around with this beak to get it the right colour. So I left it to dry for a few days just to get really nice and dry, especially on polymer clays when we're both paint. Sometimes it's really funny. So I left it to dry for a while, nice and soft. Now moving on to the feet. So I'm just doing a really basic wash over these ones and just painting in the claws in just plain black and same water-based acrylic paint, and again doing the wash over the rest of the feet. Body is quite small, so I don't need a huge amount of needle felting on this doll, which is great. It takes such a long time. Just the basic shape that I'm after. But in the meantime, I'm going to start working on the wings, so I'm doing felting. All the patterns for the body for my wing. Felt is stiff felt. Pinned it together, and I'm just going to leave it to dry overnight, and preferably for 2 days, but I left it to dry overnight and did a little bit of stitching as well to keep it in place. Now I'm going to be working on the body for this one, so I'm using a really nice soft fur for this, and I'm just cutting out the torso piece and wrapping it around, pinning it together, and then sewing it up with a leather stitch, and then I'm going to be adding the little patches of colour, white and brown, over the top of this one. So I'm just going to do the whole body black first. And same deal with the legs, just going in with a piece of faux fur and sewing it up with a ladder stitch. Then finally gluing it together with some tacky fabric glue. Now I'm adding the red patch underneath the tail and just sewing it together using a ladder stitch. I'm sewing the top and a little bit around the sides, and then I'm going to glue the rest of it because it's gluing it straight to the felt tails. And finally the last patch of white on the other side of the tail, again just sewing it up with a ladder stitch. And just adding the final piece of faux fur to the head, and I'm just doing a piece with this one. It's not doing an extensive thing like I normally do because it's only a small little bit, and then giving it a tiny trim just to blend in a little bit more so it's not too much of a puff at the start. So that's pretty much it. It is available in my shop, creaturesofnat.com. Payment plans are welcome on all my things, so just shoot me a message. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. You can head over there if you want a little bit more. You can also find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, creaturesofnat.com, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.